entitlement would be dropping this anonymously right before the NFL draft.
But I cannot help but laugh every time I see something like this. And I'm hearing about something from someone who could benefit from this story.
An anonymous assistant coach in the NFL coming out and telling, per Tom Pelissero, said his time with Sanders was the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's just not that good. The worst formal interview I've ever been in my life, ripped by the anonymous coach. This is not the first time that, on the condition of anonymity, a coach or NFL executive, Chad, has ripped Sanders in this fashion. An AFC executive said that the interview, quote, did not go great, and some said that he acted entitled at the NFL Combine. I'm not surprised by that, but I am surprised based on how he's handled the media and how we haven't seen Deion play a big factor in this NFL draft process from a demand of where he's going to end up, or more importantly, where he will not go or be drafted. I'm surprised by it, but I'm also disappointed in seeing we don't talk entitlement. The entitlement would be dropping this anonymously right before the NFL draft is about to be underway.
The worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. I read this 5 times trying to see if it was parody or not. I really thought The Onion had this. I thought this was not Adam Schefter or someone else, or not Tom Pelissero that posted this. I'm reading it at the OutKick site over and over again. I'm like, this is an actual report from Tom Pelissero that he took from a coach that actually said these things anonymously about Shedeur Sanders. I think anonymous reporting is a must in journalism for it to continue. Okay, anonymous sourcing, those things, it's vital to the media industry to report stories. So I'm for that. I'm all for anonymous reporting. But I cannot help but laugh every time I see something like this. And I'm hearing about something from someone who could benefit from this story and this type of reporting. And anytime you get the anonymous coach take on anything, I kind of read it thinking, is this real? Is this true analysis? Or is this someone trying to draft Shedeur Sanders in the 2nd or 3rd round? Is this someone trying to taint his image going into the draft because they know a division rival is about to draft Shedeur Sanders? Is this someone that has an axe to grind against Coach Prime and Deion Sanders for some reason? I can't read this seriously. I can't read something this hard-hitting from an anonymous source and think that it's real. I automatically think it's fake and it's someone with an agenda or someone manipulating me as the reader. As the consumer of whatever the story is, I feel like I'm being manipulated when I read something this over the top. I'll give you an example. I love the Athlon Sports College Football yearbook every year. And one of my favorite things to read in that yearbook is the anonymous coach take on another team. But half of them are pretty good with good detail about what they do, what they've done well, this and that. But occasionally you will read that anonymous coach survey and report about another team that's so over the top, damning about the other team. Offense isn't very sophisticated. They had locker room problems. They don't play hard for their coach. And I'm thinking, gee, I wonder if this is from a rival coach that recruits against that school. And if they can get something out there to someone that makes the other school look bad, then that's better for them. Hutton, I read this, and I feel the same way. Like, this is someone trying to manipulate. And by the way, I believe that he could be entitled. I'm not saying that he's not.
Of course he is.
We've interviewed Deion Sanders' other son, who was the most entitled person we've ever talked to, who didn't play quarterback well.
This isn't a new revelation. I mean, right after the Combine, Josina Anderson had quotes from someone anonymous after the Combine saying he came across as brash and arrogant at the Combine. Now, it could be the same person.
Yeah.
It could be the same person. The media session for him, though, at the Combine, the exact opposite. I thought he was a pro and handled it perfectly, where he came across as a competitor. He came across as confident, not cocky, and, just the confident quarterback that you want in the huddle. A leader in that situation. Instead of getting pissed off at the negative attention, he was trying to turn it into a positive and a motivation. Okay. I mean, that Deion does that a lot too. He does it in a more cocky way than a confidence way. It's a bit of both. But one executive in another report, again, anonymous, he wants to dictate what he's going to do and what's best for him. He makes you feel small. Whoever said this is a beta. He makes you feel small. You're the NFL exec. And of course he wants to do what's best for him. It's probably because your team sucks and it's not set up for you to do very well if he comes in there and plays as a rookie quarterback. That would be my guess. You're probably not that good. Chad, I see this and I think to myself, someone's been sitting on it just like you're discussing. But I go back to my cyclical calendar this time of year.
Yeah.
This feels like C.J. Stroud and the S2 cognitive test all over again, where someone put out there that he was a dumbass. And guess what? He's not. The testing results weren't even accurate that was leaked right before the draft. And in this case, someone's trying to tell us at the 11th hour, right before the NFL draft gets underway in round 1, that he's entitled, after we've seen him, quite frankly, back it up with what he was challenged to do as the quarterback at Colorado behind a terrible offensive line. 64 touchdown passes the last 2 seasons. Best completion percentage of what we've seen in this draft, 74%. I mean, the hit piece doesn't surprise me. It's just like, this is the hit piece that you're coming out with, that he's entitled. He's Deion Sanders' son. I mean, I'm not shocked. And could he fall out of the first round? That's the other big topic now, is what's going to happen with Shedeur on Shedeur Watch. At first, it was they would throw in shade because of his talent, his lack of athleticism in the pocket, his mechanics, his arm strength, which we don't hear about anymore, and now it's the attitude. And yet, here we are discussing the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting him. Doesn't sound like a Steelers quarterback to me, but in all these mocks, there sits Shedeur Sanders at pick 21. I mean, those two don't go together. What we just described is a Cleveland Browns quarterback. By God, I want it to happen.
Yeah. I'm rooting for it too. Your doomsday scenario of the Sanders kids, right?
Yeah.
If you count Travis Hunter as sort of a de facto son for Deion, as he's described,
father figure.
And all of them being in Cleveland makes my head swim, but gets me very excited with that possibility.
So now it's Dart and Milroe who could be drafted ahead of Sanders.
I just can't help but read that.
Stirring all this up.
Someone really doesn't like Shedeur Sanders.
But why do you have to be anonymous on this is the worst interview I've been a part of?
Yeah.
I mean, if in fact it is, like,
I also just think,
why does it come out on April 23rd instead of February 23rd at the Combine?
We've also reached the point with Shedeur Sanders where, like a lot of things, it's become so divisive that it's either he is God's gift to the quarterback position or he absolutely sucks. And I'm thinking he doesn't suck, and he's also not the greatest NFL quarterback prospect.
That's right.
He's sort of a ready-made, plug-and-play, okay NFL quarterback, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
Do I think that he's going to be an all-pro or he's going to lead a team to the Super Bowl? No, I don't think that right now. I haven't thought that about other quarterbacks that eventually did it too.
Here's the thing, though. If he falls...
But for the guy to end it with, he's not that good.
He's not that good. Well, I mean,
come on.
Good. So that tells me it's a top 5 selection, a coach for one of those teams.
Yeah.
Where they're drafting very high anyway on an annual basis. Because if he's not that good, he's not a top 5 pick. You wouldn't be saying that at pick 33, would you? Not that good. I mean, again, like I'm trying to piece together where this would come from. And the further he falls down the first round, the better situation he ends up in. The better coaching he's going to have. Continuity. Yeah. And there will be a team that tries to trade up and get him, or trade back in and get him. Because you get the 5th-year option, and if you're in need of a quarterback, you chase those guys. And the price tag, I mean, doesn't seem to be all that steep. The Titans are not going to be trading pick number 1 But I don't get the sense that they were offered anything just gigantic to back out of pick 1 in favor of letting another team have Cam Ward. And no one's, the Browns aren't taking Shedeur Sanders at 2, it doesn't seem like. It would be a shock if the Giants did now at 3, unless they're just playing the long con. It's line season, Chad, but it's not, it's anonymous season, but not for something like this. This is pretty lame.
It's over the top. And I think there's a happy medium between what we get from these coaches and execs and GMs during their press conferences leading up to the draft, which is absolutely nothing.
Right.
We're talking jack shit we're getting from them, right? There's nothing
bones.
we're getting out of it. They're not going to give any real intel.
All positive.
There's some interesting moments at times with it, but you're not taking much away. There's a happy medium between that and someone anonymously going scorched earth by saying the guy's not good and the most entitled person he's ever come across. Like, there's no real analysis in here. If someone wanted to say, we found him to be a little bit entitled, and for a guy who takes unnecessary sacks and isn't often on time, that's not a great thing to be. And say, he's an okay quarterback, but he's not a first-round quarterback. There's a little bit more analysis you're parsing out of that, as opposed to the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life, and he's not that good. There's not much analysis to that.
Maybe it was just a formality. I was just going through the motions of an interview that a team he wasn't going to play for.
Right.
I don't know. But again, it's
But from
not
someone who's not going to say anything if they're actually in front of the media.
Right.
And now they're going to say this anonymously.
Absolutely. Here's the other part of it.
That bothers me a bit.
This is the first time that the Sanders have not been in control of the outcome. Since he was 8 years old. This is the first time he hasn't. And I think he's been pretty good throughout this process from what I can tell. Deion too. Are you surprised by this? Like, based on what we knew what he said with Keyshawn Johnson in November of last year to now, this played out exactly the opposite way I thought it would. I thought there was a team that he would demand, we're not going to you.
I thought he would at least be more involved, and we'd be getting anonymous reporting on how Deion was meddling. So we haven't gotten any of that.
Instead, he's been public in defense of Shedeur, saying if you don't like it because of me, come at me. Like, it's clear that plays a factor.
Yeah.
But
and I just can't help but read that and think this is someone who's got a problem with Deion.
But I'm also not surprised that he's entitled if in fact he's coming across that way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of already predetermined when he walks into the meeting room how you feel about it. And you're right, it is very divisive over whether or not you like the player. But I don't get the sense there's a big debate, like with fans or just everyone talking draft, that he's the second quarterback in the draft.
Well, just go back and look at. So we had Emory Hunt on to talk about it, and he was very defensive over Shedeur Sanders, and really talked him up as the best quarterback in the draft, probably. And people they're haters if they don't like him. And the response to that has just been overwhelming on the clip that we posted on that. I see it. I'm a collaborator on it. I see it constantly. People just, oh my gosh, this guy sucks, and he must be a family member, and he's shilling for him, and how would anybody ever draft him? Versus, oh my gosh, this guy is the next Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen combo. He's going to win Super Bowls. Guys, it can be somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be he's great or he sucks. I think Shedeur Sanders impressed me at Colorado, but I don't see him as some slam dunk no-brainer NFL quarterback either.
If it's the worst interview in the history of football, why is he going to be a first-round pick? You know what I mean? Like, if you interview that...
I guess that guy would say because some team's going to be stupid.
Some team's going to say, this was the best interview in the history of football. It was brilliant.
His maturity and selflessness
his leadership
really just blew us away in that interview room.
He made us feel big instead of small.
Have you seen the
movie?
How
about that quote, dude?
Have you seen the movie where Tom Hanks goes from child to adult? That's how I felt when I left that room. Like we were children before, and he made us feel so big. Like the movie
so
big,
large.
That by the end of it, we felt like Tom Hanks the adult. That's how big we felt.
This anonymous executive in an earlier report, quote, this makes me want to draft him. Quote, he wants to dictate what he's going to do and what's best for him. He makes you feel small. I want him to do that.
To defenses.
To defenses.
Yes.
I want him to dictate what he's going to do and then execute that plan and then make you feel small. Draft that guy. He makes you feel small. Okay. Chances are this guy's not 6'1".
Whoever gave that anonymous report sounds like a guy who runs to HR if someone doesn't nod at him in the hallway.
God.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, sounds like a little beta bitch that'll run to HR and do that. Like, oh, he didn't say hi to me the right way.
Yeah.
I felt smaller after having done that.
Yeah, he spoke. It was the wrong tone in the email.
And I got to be honest, like, the more we talk about this, I'm thinking, are the Titans making the right decision? Maybe they should draft Shedeur. This guy will make people feel small.
Oh.
You think Mike Vrabel's walking out of a room saying, Shedeur made me feel small?
I mean,
I don't think he's the anonymous quote.
There are anonymous sources saying that Abdul Carter is too alpha, and I'm like, and that's why the Patriots would pass up. Absolutely not.
What sport are we playing?
Mike Vrabel would absolutely sign up for that dude.
Are we talking about the same sport where you use your body to physically mash people into the ground?
I mean,
and that's the whole purpose of the sport is to exert your will over the opponent physically.
This is a sign that you have a lot of this new era, new age executive roles that have been replaced from football guy has been replaced with social media guy
or MIT nerd.
MIT, analytical instead of
math geek. Basically,
this is the math problem instead of a solution for down and distance and cover two. This is, I think, what we're beginning to see. No, you can't be. He's too alpha in the locker room for players. Yeah, but at least Shedeur didn't go into the interview with his dad, like most Gen Zers want to do now.
Do you think that any Hall of Fame quarterback that's ever been enshrined in Canton, do you think in that speech when they're presenting them, someone's ever said, he'd had a good career, but a little too alpha.
A little too alpha.
little too alpha for my liking, this Hall of Fame quarterback. Other than that, he was
that
great.
Will be in the introduction for Tom Brady.
Yeah. Tom, I remember the time you made me feel small. And I just want to confront you now and say that I didn't appreciate that.
How about these rings? Does that make you feel small?
Yeah, but thank you for the 3 Super Bowl rings.
It's large?
Whoever the guy played with them, that however many they won, thank you for those rings you helped produce.
All these rings make my hand feel small.
Yes.
Chad, I was...
remember the Baker Mayfield thing about Tom Brady? The locker room wasn't happy. And Brady said, I'm sorry. Did they not like the Super Bowl?
Did they not like the Super Bowl victory?
That I provided them?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They didn't like that championship?
I was having a good time when we won that Super Bowl.
Guess they didn't enjoy the championship parade.
Amazing.
With everything we've said about Anonymous, I actually have some pretty good detail on some rumors.
Oh, I can't wait.
Going around for the first round of the draft from a former NFL general manager and a former assistant NFL general manager, spending some time. And I've got some notes here on some top players and also who could fall in the first round just based on who they're talking to. They're, again, former, not in the league, which means they're calling up all their friends.
And if you want these nuggets, this is why you go from the YouTube show to our podcast, which we haven't said in a while. You can get our podcast, OutKick Hot Mike, wherever you get podcasts.
It's the skinny. We're skinny dipping next.